Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining me. In this session, we're going to focus on what it feels like to have a short side and a long side of our body. In general, the shorter side means the soft tissue fibers are shortening, and the long side means the soft tissue fibers are lengthening. Just a basic concept. Often people have a hard time naturally distinguishing between a short sensation and a long sensation. We're going to focus on that today just to help give you awareness to your body. I'm using a flat stretch band that I've tied a simple knot in, and you're going to hook it around something that's not going to give. They make door anchors for stretch bands. You can put the anchor in a door, make sure the door is locked with no surprises. Right, I'm going to start with the band at about around the level of my ribs. Anywhere there is fine. The closer you start to the attachment, the less intense the pull is going to be on your body and the less intense the force required to resist that band, right? So for example, standing right here, the band is pulling me a little towards its attachment point, but the force is not very strong. It's very easy to resist, but therefore also hard to feel because it's very light for a lot of people to feel. That's going to be very difficult. The further I step away from the attachment point, the more the band is pulling me towards it, the more I have to use the side of my body closest to attachment to really engage to make sure my body doesn't get pulled towards it, right? So that first sensation that we have here is just resisting the band pulling you towards it. If it's too intense, you can't focus on other things, step closer to the wall so you can make other sensations primary. And we're just using a band here today because it helps a lot of people get that sense of where to focus with their mind. So right now, I'm going to focus on where the band is around my rib cage, right? Where it makes contact physically with my ribs. I'm not focusing as much on the sensations of resisting the band pull, of resisting the band's pull. Right. So I'm going to breathe, inhale right to where the band touches my ribs. And exhale. Doesn't matter how you breathe, through your nose, through your mouth, any way you get the oxygen in is great. Again, shovel it in. Inhale. Focus on the feelings right where the band makes contact with the actual ribs on the side of your body. And exhale. Breathe out. One more time. Again. Inhale, can you feel those ribs stretching the band as you inhale? And as you exhale, that pressure will release. Now I'm going to turn around and give the other side a feel, right? I try to make sure I have the same amount of tension and the band's in generally a similar spot. And again, I'm focusing on to where the band is making contact with my rib cage, right on the side there. As I inhale, I focus on where the band is touching my body. That part of my body is where my focus is. And exhale. And again, inhale. Focus on where the band is making contact with your rib cage. Can you feel the sensations there? And exhale. One more time. Great job. Again, inhale. Feel how the band stretches when you inhale. And exhale, it releases away from that. And I'm going to turn with the wall behind me directly, putting the band around my lower ribs here. Again, still on the ribs, just around below your chest. And I'm not leaning away from the band so much that I'm not so far away from the wall that I have to lean forward, just enough so I feel some pressure of the band against my ribs. And again, inhale here to where the band makes physical contact with your rib cage. And exhale, release. Again, inhale. And exhale. Now you may experience this as just a tightening sensation where the band is. You may not quantify that as expansion. It just may feel like the band gets tighter. Well, it gets tighter because your ribs are pressing into it and the space in between the ribs is expanding. And exhale. Let's just do one more there. That could be a tricky concept. Inhale. So even though it might just feel like it's getting tighter for a reason because something touching it is pushing outwards, right? And expanding. And exhale to release. Great job. Now I'm going to face the other way, right? I'm going to put the band around my lower ribs here. And it is helpful to have a flat band and to have the band be on its widest part. So if it gets rolled up into a tight line, that's going to give you less surface contact with your rib cage, and that may be harder to feel. So just realize that. And sometimes behind you it's tricky, I understand. Again, I'm not standing so far away from that the band's rolling up or that I'm leaning, right? Just feel where the band makes contact with the back of your ribs. If I step away too far, the band tends to shrink in this position, meaning it rolls up into a tight line. And again, inhale to where the band makes contact with the rib cage. And exhale. And again, you may feel this more as the band's touching the sides of your ribs rather than the back. That's okay. Inhale, because it is making contact with each side of the rib. And exhale. Again, feel where the band makes contact with your body. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Great job. Big breath in. Yeah. And exhale. And rest. Now I'm going to try adding some movement to that to increase the physical sensations. I'm going to start again with the band against the side of my ribs, right? And again, if the band is long and flat, it'll be have more surface contact, increasing the area of sensation, right? Take the same side hand as the band's rib side, so the opposite hand of wall side or attachment side. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just bring that top elbow up towards the sky and let your torso bend to the side. Now stay here. Inhale to where the band makes contact with your torso. And then exhale. Great job. As we inhale here, the band side of your body is expanding. The other side of your body is shortening. And exhale. One more time. Again, big breath in. And exhale, and then bring it up nice and tall and rest. So you may have experienced that as just sensation, maybe to one side or both sides, and that sensation may have been wordless, right? I just feel something, right? I'm trying to help you articulate those feelings. What you're feeling generally, as long as it's not pain, is the banded side has length. The non-banded side has shortness, a contraction. One side is stretching more, the other side is shortening and contracting more, right? That's what those feelings are. So when you have this awareness, once you get that it's a lengthening sensation, you can identify it as a stretch. Or a shortening sensation, you can identify it as a contraction. And that may seem like it doesn't make a lot of difference initially, and that's true, it may not. But also it can be incredibly helpful for when you're trying to specifically gauge, is this something I should try and do more of or less of? So if you're in a position of trying to, let's say, lift something with your elbow bending, that is a shortening sensation. And you can gauge, do I want it to help you lift something? You can think of increasing that sensation of shortness. What would give you that sensation would be to bend your elbow more. Feeling your body can be really helpful in terms of helping it to move. It doesn't work for everybody. Everyone feels their body differently, but this is just one way to go about it. Here we go. Inhale to where take your hand behind your head, side bend towards the wall. Inhale right to where the band makes contact with your torso. And exhale. The whole time here, the banded side, inhale, is a stretch feeling, and the non-banded side is a shortness or contraction feeling. It's just that when you inhale, it really increases that sensation of stretch on the banded side. And exhale. One more time. Inhale. Great job. Exhale and bring it up nice and tall. Step back to the wall. And again, we're going to take the band around the front of our lower ribs, just below your chest. Right? Hands behind your head here, elbows toward each other. Let your elbows and chest lift up here. And again, inhale. And exhale. So here, it's the banded side of your body that's stretching. The front of your body is the stretch, and the back of the body is the shortening, the contraction. Exhale. Again. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Again. Inhale. The front is stretching. The back is shortening, contracting. And exhale. And then rest. Right? So even though we're in this position the whole time, when you inhale, you stretch more. When you exhale, you do release away from the stretch, but it's still longer than the backside, which is stays short, right? So even though the inhale is a lengthening and a shortening action, the side of the body that's making contact with the band is generally lengthened more than the oppositional side because it's relational, right? You're always thinking about two halves or a three-dimensional picture of your body. You only know one side is shortening because the other side has to lengthen. And that could be a different feeling depending on where you are relationally to gravity and whatever external forces are in contact with your body. If you're picking something up, it may be far easier to feel the crook of your elbow versus the back of the elbow. You may feel the shortening in the front much more than the lengthening in the back when you're trying to pick something up, right? The converse is true when you're trying to put that thing down, right? You may feel the lengthening and shortening of the front and not the lengthening of the front of the crook of the elbow more than the shortening of the back. And that's just because the front of your arm is generally the focus when you're bending to pick things up and to put things down. You're not using the back of your arm in quite the same intensity level as you are the front side where where your elbow bends. I hope that made sense to you. All right, it's in the back of us. Now we're going to do something different here. Give your knees a little bend, and you're going to lean your body back against the band, tuck your tailbone under towards your breastbone, and round your spine. And then breathe in here. And exhale. As you inhale, the back of the body is the lengthened side here. And the front of the body is the shortened side. And that's what these two different things feel like. And again, this may just be sensations to you, and that's okay. Again, inhale. And exhale. And when you're in these positions, you're trying to keep the position. So even though I'm inhaling, I'm trying to not let my chest lift up and stand tall. I'm just staying in this position. And exhale. One more time. Again, inhale. And exhale. And slowly stand up nice. Now we're going to do this one again. I want to talk about it a little more. So that feeling of wanting to lift your heart when you're inhaling is very natural. Specifically, when you're in this position of rounding your spine and you're inhaling, it's hard to hold that rounding, right? Excuse me while as I futz with my band, right? So let's say we're in this rounding position. When I inhale, my lungs are expanding, my ribs are expanding. It's natural to want to lose that shape of rounding your spine. That's natural. So in order to keep that shape while you're inhaling, you really have to contract the front of your body, right, to keep your body in this position. And that's a helpful thing to realize. So as I'm in this shape, if I want to keep this shape, I've got to really focus on the front of my body, shortening, even though I'm inhaling. And exhale, because the inhale tends to expand things because your lungs are inflating. Inhale. I have to hold on to the front of my body, even though I'm inhaling, so the back of my body keeps stretching and expanding. Exhale. One more time. Again. Inhale. Really great job. And exhale. Bring it up nice and tall. And rest. So that could be difficult to talk about with yourself, like what am I feeling, when am I feeling it? And it's okay to just have sensations and not put names on them. However, specifically when you're trying to not just pick things up, but also lengthen things and control the descent, that is a feeling of stretch generally. So let's pick up the front of the elbow again, right? After I pick something up, When I'm lowering it down, that is a stretch sensation, right? You'll know it's appropriate for you because it doesn't feel like a flight or fight response the entire way down. It'll be too heavy for you. You'll know right away because you get that flight or fight response of, oh, I can't straighten my elbows because something will be compromised, right? A feeling of, I don't want to get injured. That feeling of, ooh, I don't want to do that because that may be painful. That means that you don't have the stretch strength enough to support that range of motion at your elbow to lower whatever it is down with a starting bent and ending towards a long elbow. You just need to practice that range of motion more against resistance to help build the stretch strength in your body. That's where being able to analyze and think a bit more critically about what am I feeling, where, when, and possibly why can be really helpful. So if I know when I am trying to place things down, it's a stretch sensation, and if I can't control it enough, it means I would do good work to practice on lighter things and slowly lowering those lighter things down to a long elbow and then picking them back up and then slowly lowering them down. On any part of your body, that is a very true principle, right? If you feel that fight or flight response, it's most often during a stretch sensation. It's very rarely during a shortening sensation. Very rarely, though sometimes, yes, it can be. Specifically, when it comes to lifting extremely heavy objects, then that can be a quick compression that you can control, right? But generally speaking, science says that in terms of which of these do people get injured more in, it's during the lengthening phase of soft tissues, right? They don't have the strength to control the lengthening phase of the soft tissue fibers. So that's where this sense of, oh, I feel this, it's a stretching sensation, it feels threatening. So instead of saying I shouldn't do that, maybe I should do a little less intense version of that, working up to this intensity over time so that I don't have that fight or flight response doing this whatever activity it is that you're performing, right? That can be very, very helpful to understand. What tends to happen again with most people is that when they have pain, generally, as long as it's not a compromised joint in general, you're not in physical therapy, generally, especially if it's in the middle, between joints, that is your body saying, hey, this is really nice, but I don't have the strength to control the stretching phase of the strength required for this. I would love it if we worked with a lighter resistance or less intensity so that I can get used to lengthening with control, and over time you can work up to whatever it is that you're doing, right? People often discount a stretch strength because they don't consider it strength. They only think about picking things up, not how they put them down, right? So that is one thing that can help you with what those feelings are and how to make yourself more aware of maybe what you can do better at focusing on. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Eric. This is Nucleus Strength. I look forward to getting stronger with you in the future. Yours in good health. Take care.